Okay, I'm going to show you a something I did last night, and we'll kind of finish putting this together. But last night I sauteed spinach. Now should get everything out of the way. But this is what I did. We're going to show you a couple of tricks that I learned with this. This is what you see from the amount of liquid that came out of, and I'll show you that in a minute. That. This. And I meant to drop, crap. Yeah. Oh well. We'll get that heating up. Okay. The recipe that I'm doing is called artichokes and spinach casserole, and it's a fairly easy dish to put together. The original recipe called for frozen spinach in a box, and they're about 10 ounces. But I'm going to be using my Cup of steel casserole, and I'll have to do a little cleaning on that, and so that it's ready to go. Meanwhile, cheeses are heating up or getting up to room temperature, and we'll go from there, and I'll get this thing put together. Now, last night I sauteed the spinach because that takes a little bit of time to do. There was like 4 bags. Basically, the recipe calls for 4 10-ounce bags, or 4 packages of spinach, which is typically about 10 ounces per box. So I did a little math. The bags are about 10 inches of fresh spinach. So when you take fresh spinach, it's down to 1.5 cups. So I figure 4 bags should be more than enough. And I think that's what I've been doing, 4 to 5 bags. Any rate, all right, I've made this recipe before, so I pretty much know what to do. Oops, I've almost forgot I need the cans of artichokes. And as soon as I show you this, this is the greasy water that I squeezed out of the spinach. Because when you saute spinach, you will have water that needs to be squeezed out of these. And even if you're doing the frozen spinach, you still got to, once thawed, you need to squeeze the water out. The easiest way I found, if you're sauteing your spinach, is use the largest size of one of these, and you put it over your bowl, and you put your spinach into it, and then you take a spatula and you squeeze out the water. But before you do that, the trick that I learned is something I learned from a combination of America's Test Kitchen and Kimchi Lopez Salt. And that is, use one of these. Spread your food out in that and give it about 5 minutes or so, and it should be cooled down enough so that you can handle it without burning yourself. That and a pair of gloves, as in nitrile gloves like these. I bought these a couple of days ago because I had been out for a while. Anyhow, you spread it out and then you put in this over a large bowl, and then you press as much of the water out, and then once you're done, you take your hand and you squeeze out a little bit more. The more you can squeeze out, the better. And that's the spinach right there. That's 4 bags worth of sauteed spinach. I salt and pepper the spinach with each batch. I try not to use more than a pinch of salt because you can easily oversalt if you aren't careful. Anyhow, this is going to get emptied, and I'm going to take this and empty it. You don't want to pour it down your drain, but you do want to empty it into something. And unfortunately, I don't really have anything to empty it into. And this doesn't, because it was olive oil, it doesn't solidify, unlike bacon grease, which will in the refrigerator. Another trick that I learned is use one of these guys. This is what they call a pinch bowl. You put some of your salt in here, and that way if you're, there goes the oven, it's ready to go. You use this if you've got on greasy gloves or whatever, and you're handling raw meat or whatever. You can put your salt in here and not worry about contaminating it because you can throw it out. And that way you aren't contaminating your salt cellar. Anyhow, those are the 2 tricks that I have learned from watching shows like Kenji Lopez Alt's cooking show on YouTube and America's Test Kitchen and or Cook's Country, because you learn a lot of that kind of things from people who've worked in restaurants and or have gone through cooking school, things of that nature. Anyhow, the recipe that I'm doing is basically cream cheese with Parmesan cheese, and I should have done this last night, but I didn't think to. Anyhow, the cheese, the cream cheese is softened the best way to soften cream cheese is take it out of its package and open it. And once open, it'll come up to room temperature fairly quickly. I just got these out of the refrigerator, which was a mistake. I meant to do it this morning and totally forgot to. And when you go to grind your Parmesan, you need to let it sit out for about 30 minutes to an hour. And it'll, at that point, be warm enough for you to run through your food processor and not damage it. I learned that lesson several years ago when I did the same thing with another food processor. It wasn't a Cuisinart, it was a Chef something or other, and I broke the grating disc, which at that time it was a machine that didn't have any, hadn't been made in years, and so you couldn't just go buy a replacement part. came to me from good friends, and so I got rid of it, and that's when I got the Cuisinart. I found one on about 2010 for $30, complete with everything. Anyhow, that was my lesson, and you just, because the cheese is a hard cheese, and when it's been kept in the refrigerator, you can run the risk of damaging your food processor or breaking the accessory grater. So just put that right there. This in the sink. Let's see. A couple. Let's see. I'm trying to. Four packages of spinach tops, 2 8-ounce packages, 1 cup of Parmesan, it doesn't show it here, but I've got the other recipe which does show a stick of butter or margarine, which is melted and poured over the artichokes, which I will get going because that can go in the microwave. Grab the 2-cupper. In. For a minute. It may not even need a full minute, but we'll keep an eye on it. Meanwhile, I will scrape into, drain these. This will be good. I may have dribbled some water on there, but that's okay. Enough. It'll finish melting. All right. Next is get a cutting board and cut these. Half. So far, I'm not finding anything particularly huge, but it will help spread them out. and butter. Is to spread it out, and also helps grease the pan. A whole stick of butter. That, this will go over and there. All right. Kind of. There. Next is cup of whipping cream, cup of Parmesan cheese, which I will need to grate. This can be for that, because my other one is dirty. It's one of the reasons I keep two of these, one copper. This is the old one, but I can use it for grating, make sure I have enough Parmesan, and this can be for the cream. Not 100% level, but it's close enough. That right there. Put that there. Oh, excuse me. Actually, I want this one. Just because it's got a sharp tip on it, which the black one does not have, and that's because I broke it. We'll need the grater. This is the fine grater. Now I could do this in the box grater, but that's going to a potential problem. What I'm doing right now is cutting off the rind. Okay. This might do it. That in. There. I think that will be about a cup. That'll be a cup, and the rest can go into a container. Later. Put it right next. I'm gonna grab this. Is my grandmother's, late grandmother's, I should say. There we go. Sunbeam mixer and mixer. According to my mother, she bought it in 1969. Oh yeah, that's softened enough. I could also do this in the stand mixer, but reality is it's what I'm going to be doing here is creaming the cream, Parmesan cheese, or at least a chunk of, most of that cup of Parmesan cheese, and together so that it can be spread over oh, come on. A little bit more. I would rather have it be slightly okay. All right, let's get these. Normally I would do a little bit more, but they're a little thick and the beaters are a little small. And this is the next part of this. Spread out the spinach. Out in a layer. As you can see, I've got quite a bit more. And in here, but I'm spreading it out by ripping it apart, making sure that it gets spread out and fairly even. And then we'll it's basically kind of like how you would ice a cake. You dollop and then you spread out. Now this doesn't need to be perfect, but I do like to get it reasonably even because it'll spread out as it cooks. It's going to be no guarantee I'll be able to get all this in the dishwasher because it's pretty full as it is, but a few things can go in the top rack, and then I'll go ahead and run it, put water and everything, and we'll deal with it either this evening or when I get home or in the morning. So offset, this is an offset, and oh yeah, this is spreading pretty decently. The main thing you want to do is get it to where it's spread out and into the corners and edges. There. And now for a little bit of Parmesan over the top. This is to kind of give it a little bit of a crust. Can always grab a little bit more from the food processor if I need it, which I probably will. There. Gonna let the oven continue to heat but I think this is going to be fine. That is how you bake artichoke and spinach casserole. And I think I've mentioned this, but I'll mention it again just in case I hadn't, that you can do the spinach the night before if you want to saute. So that's what I did, was I sauteed everything the night before, the spinach the night before, and then all I had to do this morning is assemble the dish. I'm going to show you this. This is the casserole as it would have looked had it not been eaten into. As you can see that you want the top to be browned, and this is where the foil stuck to it when I initially put the foil on it when I was getting ready to take it down to my sister's. So that brown top came up. But the rest of it, as you can see, and as you look, you can see the layering of the cheese on top, the spinach, and then the artichokes on the bottom. Now, just to clarify, the canned artichokes are actually baby artichokes, and when you do that you can pull the leaves off and then you're basically down to the heart and it's basically all edible. The larger artichokes, not so much, but for the baby ones, that's what they use for the cans, and that's what I was using here. I was just cutting them in half and spreading them out. But anyway, that's what it looks like, and I'm going to pick up a piece. Got some dark meat, and I made a gravy over there, turkey gravy or chicken gravy in this case, to put over the meat. Anyhow, that's going to be my dinner, and I've got pie in the refrigerator for later. So if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button, and if you want to subscribe, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified. It'll do this channel a world of good, and I'll see you on the next one.